Hey there, internets. Pat coming to you from my grandfather's desk. Shout out to a friend of mine who's her first name starts with G. I don't want to call her out by name specifically, but she sent me a whole bunch of bills because she sent out her own list of stuff that needed to be addressed this week, some of which overlapped with yesterday, and there was a couple others I got in my email, some of which I didn't even know existed, and a lot of these I'm just going to list them off because I didn't have time to read them all, and I like to read them all before having a strong opinion on any of them. One I'm going to heavily concentrate on, but I will include a link to each bill so you can read it for yourself, because ultimately you have to decide. There is even one that's a pro, not just a con bill on, and people, I think, should get bipartisan support. You would think, but there will also be a link, same link as yesterday, that includes how to get where you can comment. Whether you just state your position or comment, doesn't matter. Get involved. Do this. It just takes a minute to just say, hey, I don't like this bill. And just mark it as a con, put in your information, and go. And autofill will take care of it if you're using a laptop. But just right at the top of my list, and this is happening tomorrow on Tuesday at 10:30 a.m. Law and Justice Committee, HB1474. Somehow this one escaped my attention. Creating a developmentally appropriate response to youth who commit sexual offenses. That sexual offense mainly it brings up is the R word that YouTube doesn't like people to say, censors don't like. But essentially what it says is that we're going to put these kids in counseling, and then after their release date, 2 years depending for some and 3 years for some others, we're just going to not make them register as offenders for the rest of their lives. So you could have somebody that knowingly commits first degree R word, and says, and then after they're released, doesn't have to commit. They could be a level 2 or level 3 offender. They don't have to keep registering. And I'm sorry, but even when somebody's young or they've got certain issues, people need to be aware to protect themselves. I teach martial arts, awareness of your surroundings. One of our pages is here locally in Skagit County. It posts every so often the list of offenders, level 2 and level 3 offenders. And there was a young man, grew up as a boy in the area. I knew him. All of a sudden, he was, I think, 18 or 19 at the time. And his father, I know, was just devastated when this happened, but he committed some serious violent offenses against developmentally disabled women. I think he's a level 3 offender. Sorry, but those people need to be registered. This bill says they don't have to register. The bill is insane. It needs to get on this one. Mark it for. Send in a comment that you think this is insane. But that's the top one in my mind, priority-wise. Other than if you haven't handled, if you're a gun person, SB5078. But that was in yesterday's video. I have already put my comments in. So continuing on, SB5207 concerning campaign contributions controlled by entities. It's in committee tomorrow at 1:30. That's one I have not read, so I'm not going to opine too heavily on. The same friend, though, who is Republican, had it as a con. All of these you are against. This person marked them as against. Everything I received yet, for the most part, as I mentioned, unless I say I don't have anything to go on, if I haven't read them myself. The next one is SB5080. If you're following the banking collapse that happened over the last week on Friday, it sounds like Silicon Valley Bank collapsed because it was too concerned with wokeness. Well, SB5080 brings wokeness to the cannabis industry. Now, that might seem like a good idea to those of us in the conservative space. Some people don't like it. It could expand cannabis licenses. But even if you're kind of libertarian, it basically gives preference to people with in underserved communities or who fit certain demographic profiles. If you have an equity plan, if you have a social equity plan, you get preference in getting your licenses. That's the kind of thing, I don't care whether the business is a good idea or not, we shouldn't be having. So that's a reason to oppose 5080, and I think I have gone in and marked that as opposed. One that is not going to pass this year, but is in committee. So, some of them can still go through committee. They just can't leave their house of origin or can't pass their house of origin to be considered this year, is SB5740, Deterring Catalytic Converter Theft. That should be a bipartisan thing. It's in committee at 10:30 tomorrow morning on the 14th. SB5054. Now, all of you know I am not a fan of public education. SB5054, promoting and facilitating the use of professional learning communities. It actually just cuts the school week by 4 hours because it's supposed to give teachers more time to work together, to collaborate. 4 hours a week, well, that's got to come out of teaching time. Our students need the teaching time more than anything else. So I mark that as an opposed, and I do have a strong opinion there. The next two I have not had the chance to read. I might not even get to them. Consider is SB, but if some people, you might be very passionate about some of these issues. So I want to get this out to you. Maybe you want to stay up all night going through them all. More power to you. I respect it. SB5243, concerning high school and beyond planning, is at 4 p.m. tomorrow. SB5311, concerning special education funding formula. So, especially if you're interested about special education or school funding, 4 p.m. tomorrow, that is in committee. I don't have a strong opinion. I have not read that one. SB 5309, eliminating the state utility tax deduction for the in-state portion of interstate transport of petroleum products and crude oil. So that's just another tax on crude oil. I'm assuming that would apply to petroleum products that are sold outside of Washington State. 8 o'clock tomorrow, that is in committee. I am opposing it because the last thing any of the country needs is more taxes. HB 1155, addressing the collection, sharing, and selling of consumer health data. I read that one, but I would need to read it again, have my own opinion. But of course, the rest of these were marked con by the people I got these from, for what that's worth. HB 1575, modifying the sales and use tax for cultural access programs, for allowing the tax to be imposed on by count. Something got screwed up in the cut and paste there. Imposed by a council or commission authority defining timelines and priorities for action. I did not note the time. Let me go and look that up real quick. 1575 that is in committee tomorrow. It says Council Manic. So somebody I cut and pasted from the page. That's why I was fumbling over the word. It wasn't my bad typing. It was straight cut and pasted from them. That is in committee tomorrow at 8 a.m. Land Use and Tribal Affairs. It adds a point, allows for counties, and if they don't impose it, cities, but they can't both do it at the same time, a 0.1% extra sales tax to the to certain items. Oppose, of course. HB 1216. Now the rest of these start into later in the week. HB 1216 concerning clean energy siting. That is a 32-page bill. I did not have a chance to read it this evening all myself. 8 a.m. I might be able to get to that tomorrow, but you know about it. That's my goal here. HB 1282, requiring environmental labor and reporting for public building construction and renovation materials. 3:15 so that would be Wednesday at 8 a.m. HB416, applying affected market customer provisions of the Washington Clean Energy Transformation Act to non-residential customers of consumer-owned utilities. 317, so that would be Thursday at 8 a.m. I have not read it myself. HB 1589 is Washington's clean energy economy and transition to a clean, affordable, and reliable energy future. Again, Thursday at 8 a.m. So those are the ones that are in the legislative, another batch that is in legislative committee this week. As yet, as far as ones that us gun owners are after, 1143, which is the pre-purchase requirement. That has not been scheduled yet. And what was the other one? 1240, which was the assault weapons ban, has not been scheduled yet. So once those are scheduled, of course, I'll be putting something out. But anyway, that's a big pile of bills. That is a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 opportunities for mischief by our legislature, more for you to address. Some of it you got to get cracking on. Some of it you don't. You can take a little more time to read them. I always encourage reading them because you never know what's in there. Once in a while, you might even find yourself with a unique reason for opposition, or you might even find yourself saying, hey, I'm going to differ from people on this because I see something slightly different. And that's what's more important, is that you know about it. So there you go. Another batch this week of bills in the legislature for you to address. So get this posted wherever you can on social media. Get it out there to your friends. Text it, messenger, get around the algorithms. And if you haven't, subscribe, comment. It helps fuel the algorithm. Like it if you like what I have to say. And until then, you all take care.